r/AskReddit asks, those who basically live out of hotels due to work travel, what's the best and worst part of it? The best is I spend almost zero time doing things like cleaning, so much of that sort of thing is just provided for me. The worst is restaurant food becomes literally sickening after a while. Also, it can be Groundhog Day pretty often. I often strike up a conversation with someone and it turns out to be the exact same conversation with someone else the last place I stayed. Single-serving friends. Not being able to cook your own food. I get so sick of expensive, greasy, rushed restaurant crap and just want some homemade chicken breast with a side of fresh veggies. When I'd have extended stays, I'd usually opt for the hotels with the kitchenettes. It ain't full on, but you can cook a lot more than you'd expect. Failing that, I also have my own hot plate and pot I'd pack into my luggage so I could at least cook for myself on a limited basis. Hotel beds are generally pretty comfy, but my bed at home is better. I can sleep in my favorite divot in my bed. Finding healthy food options can be a struggle. Also, unpacking constantly. The best is getting to visit new places pretty frequently, trying their local cuisines, meeting new people. I found I rarely bothered to unpack unless it was a long stay, but I feel you, man. You can earn points to take your family on vacation and it not cost you an arm and a leg. That is probably the best part. The worst part, every room looks the same after a while no matter what city you are in. Huge one here. Between flights, hotels, and rental cars, my vacation is basically at the cost of food each year. You get tired of eating out pretty quickly. After a while, it doesn't taste like real food. I look for natural foods restaurants. I don't necessarily eat that way at home, but the food is usually less processed and less full of sugars and mystery oils and/or excessive butter. Best part, new city and things to try. Worst part, missing out on hobbies, having to reconnect with your SO and kids when you get home because you missed yet another week. The restaurant food, Whole Foods hot bar was my treat. Best part was the ability to visit a new place. Worst part was drinking to be able to fall asleep. Quit that job before I fucked myself up for good. I owned a business for 5 years that required weekly travel. Ended up selling it due to the travel. Best part was seeing new places. I enjoyed driving hours on end and listening to podcasts, etc. I got invited to lots of fun events and people's houses. The worst was I never could sleep well in a hotel bed. I would get 3-4 hours each night. Always ate fast food and gained 50 pounds. Every time I got home, the kids had grown a foot. It put a lot of stress in our marriage even though the money was good. Just wasn't worth it in the end. At my last job, I spent 6 weeks in Texas, and we had to work at the client's hours. Their workday started relatively early. Worst part, missing my kids, toddlers at the time, fried foods and generally unhealthy eating habits. Gained 15 pounds while I was away, crummy coworkers, 9 or 10-hour days plus weekends and no overtime. Spent Easter breakfast with a nice retired couple instead of with my family. Best part, it was in March and it was nice and warm. I'm from the Northeast and the road trip was in Texas. After a long period on the road, I will bolt awake and literally not know what city I am in. I have to concentrate for 30 seconds on the events of the previous day that led up to my lying here at the Hilton in City X. It's really disconcerting and unpleasant, like geographic vertigo. Always used to leave a sheet of the hotel stationery where I could find it quickly in the morning, to remind me where I was. Did this for about 6 months. Best parts include someone to clean your room every day, getting to move around from place to place, sometimes having a nice gym or pool. Worst parts: not being able to cook. Hotels can be very loud. Free airline miles is the best part, for me. I love traveling, so it's a bonus for me to get to see lots of new places and get paid for it. This year I paid $0 for all of my family's personal plane tickets, because I was able to cash in miles accumulated through work for all of our trips. Lots have mentioned the lack of fresh, home-cooked meals, which I agree, but I'll add the constant small talk as the worst part. I struggle with small talk at the best of times, anyway, and making instant friends everywhere can get mentally exhausting for me. Edit, grammar. I take 3-month contracts for work and have basically been living in Airbnbs or hotels with kitchenettes, if that counts. Pros: getting to see so many different places, never being stuck in one spot, not having to buy furniture, making extra money off living stipends and per diems. Cons: having to pack and unpack all the time. Initially finding a place, I have to find it on my own and it gets dicey depending on the location, having to always adapt to a new location and start over with meeting people. Never having to wash my own sheets. Finding new and interesting places to hide the wad of cash. The internet sucks ass 90% of the time. Best part: someone makes my bed and brings me new towels. Worst part: I'm away from family for extended periods, and basically working nearly all the time. According to my brother, the best part: he stays in pretty nice places. The beds are good, there's cable, etc. Most importantly, he says that there is almost always a gym room, and since he is bored in an unfamiliar place, he is more inclined to exercise. The worst part: most hotels and restaurants near those hotels serve very similar menus, and aren't very healthy, which gets old after a while and counterbalances all the good your time in the gym did you. The meh part: you can go adventure out into the town and try some of the more local stuff if you get bored of the hotel life. As long as the town you're in isn't awful and boring. My dad travels a lot for work. He says sometimes it's hard to engage with home on weekends and stuff because he's still in travel mode, especially if he had to travel again the next week. I know my parents used to fight about it when we were kids. It's gotten better now that he's in a management position. Best part is that we have been able to have a family vacation to Disneyland once a year for the past 20 years for basically the cost of park tickets because he gets so many miles and points. My dad currently works a job where he does this a lot. He says that one of the best aspects is staying in hotels that have really good free breakfasts. He made friends with a very good-natured and energetic guy who worked the dining room at a hotel in Chicago. I think that bursts of positive energy made my dad's day a little bit better. I'm in a new hotel every week or half week. I frequently find myself waking up and the first I have to say to myself is what day it is, where I am and why I'm there. Everything blends together sometimes and it helps me keep things straight. Worked in a hotel that mostly catered for business people, got many stories. Could always tell the ones that it was routine staying away compared to the occasional business tripper. Biggest indicator was that the routine guys knew all about shitty service and being let down and said nothing, whereas the occasional guys were non-stop asking for stuff. Best part is new locations to check out. It's hard to really get to see a place without really knowing anyone. But if you're lucky and have a rental, then you can drive around and find parks and cool shit to do. Worst parts is the food, because eating out all the time is really bad for you unless you can locate a nice local place that makes good food, also fun. Exercise becomes sort of a chore too, especially if you're a gym person that relies on a routine. Nothing worse than not having a squat rack some weeks. Speaking as a wife of, I enjoy the perks of executive lounges and free nights on hotel points, grinning face with clenched teeth. Cleaned room every day and I never have to cook. Worst part is loneliness. Best parts, fresh sheets made bed every day. Free breakfast, which is damn good where I'm at. No real bills to pay, i.e. cable internet provided. Worst parts, cooking dinner. Long-term visits means food prepping, i.e. frozen meals. The mini freezer has no space to support this, thus grocery shopping weekly just for a couple meals. Source: I'm in hotel for 6th month in a row for work. Best part: definitely not having to clean up after yourself. Worst part: you don't actually get to enjoy the hotel experience as much as you think you would. You are generally dead tired or too busy working when you get back to the hotel. I spend 20 to 25 days a month in hotels. The best: I get put up in some upper scale hotels and the beds and blackout curtains are usually excellent. When you're in hotels as much as I am, the importance of a great bed and blackout curtains cannot be understated. Everything else is icing on the cake. The worst, as others mentioned, maintaining a nutritious diet. I have a list of every grocery store, food co-op, and natural food store for every city. I go there instead of eating out. I also make it a point to exercise for every day I'm on the road. Room's always clean, because no one you care about makes it messy. The best part is being able to visit a city for an extended of time and actually going to go see the sights while getting paid for it. Worst part: if you don't get to choose the hotel, you're screwed. The food portions aren't fantastic, but on a positive note, I have a scam going with a big plate. Reading this thread, so there's a market for a multi-city delivery to your hotel door healthy meal service, maybe with a built-in food preference option and local matching algorithm, you say?